Welcome to Emerging Franchise Brands, the podcast that introduces you to the visionary founders of America's fastest growing franchise opportunities. We'll also hear from industry pros as they share insights on what it really takes to achieve the elusive milestone of 100 plus locations. I am your host, Frank Fumey, founder of I9 Sports, and my 20-year journey from inception to acquisition has given me a unique perspective on how to succeed in franchising. Join me as we welcome today's guest. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. On today's show, I have the founder of Hawaii Fluid Art, Maya Ratcliff. Maya, welcome to today's show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am super excited to have you chat with us and talk about Hawaii Fluid Art. I was on your website. I just think this is the coolest thing. It's totally different. There's so many concepts that are out there that are so similar to others, and yours is truly different. So why don't you share with the audience, first of all, what is Hawaii Fluid Art? And then I want to hear all about how you got started and your motivation behind this.
Absolutely. So Hawaii Fluid Art is an interactive art experience where we have over 27 different forms of art that people from 2 to 102 can come in, and it's a safe place to create. We work with people that have any abilities or different abilities. No art skill is needed, and you're guaranteed to create something beautiful.
And I was on your website, and beautiful is not even the word for it. I mean, incredible, the creations that one can do without any skill set whatsoever. It's so different. And what got you started into all this?
So when COVID was happening, I decided that I wanted to take some art classes, and everything that I tried, I was horrible at, and it was kind of depressing. And I thought, wait a second, isn't a hobby supposed to make you feel good about yourself? So I started playing with different mediums, and I came up with this watered down fluid type of art. And as I started to create, I started posting on Facebook, and people started buying what I was creating, which was shocking to me. And then soon people started asking me to teach. And the first person that reached out to me was a gentleman whose wife had experienced a traumatic brain injury, and she had no short-term memory capabilities. And so I converted my two-car garage into an art studio, and I opened my doors to this amazing woman. And shortly after working with me, she started having memories, short-term memories. I get a little emotional about it because it was truly a profound part of my life. And as word spread about what I was doing, more and more people wanted to take these art experiences. In the first 6 months, I taught over 1,000 people art experiences out of my garage and kind of went from there.
This is just a crazy story of, you just love the inspirational bootstrap founder kind of stories that created something out of nothing. And in your case, though, did you have any art background? What background did you have to be able to do all this?
So I was a corporate banker for many years. And then when I moved to the Hawaiian Islands, I found myself without a job. Nobody would hire me. I was overqualified. And so after about 8 months of looking for a good paying position that met my requirements and I could fulfill properly, I finally decided to open a consulting firm where I helped small businesses to medium-sized businesses revamp everything from SOPs to marketing, hiring, firing, training, etc. And so I did that on the islands for about 9 years before I started Hawaii Fluid Art.
That's amazing. I want to go back to this whole thing where, you helped this woman with this brain injury. Have you looked into what is it about doing art or doing something creatively that it allows people to tap into their short-term memory loss or to be able to reconnect into their memory? What is it about those brain connections?
Well, there are studies that have been done that art is a very healing form of therapy. Now, we're not claiming to be therapists, but what we are doing is offering a safe space where people can just create. And we've worked with so many people, from wounded warriors to people with, late stage terminal cancer, Make-A-Wish, all sorts of things. And what we found is that when people enter our doors, number one, our spaces are very intimate. They are not these white places that you don't feel welcome. They're painted black with neon lights, and it's a very welcoming environment. We have live plants everywhere. And as you enter, our studios smell like a vanilla kissed orange, and they're just welcoming. So the first thing that happens when people walk through the door is their shoulders go down. They're not walking into an art class with brushes. They're walking into a safe space that's already beautiful. And as we introduce them to our studio space and show them around, they realize that we are not art instructors. We are facilitators. None of our team members in store have any art background. That Hawaii Fluid Art comes and teaches all of the employees for the franchisee. So these people have been taught Hawaii Fluid Art methods. And the way that we interact is very encouraging and supporting. And so what we found is that people let their guard down, and all they're thinking about when they're in the studio for 45 minutes to an hour is just creating, letting go, the smiles on their faces. They'll say, I haven't felt like this since I was a child. And when it comes to brain trauma and traumatic injuries, there's so much weight on people's shoulders in today's world, and giving them a safe space to create, whether they have, a standard ability or a different ability, is just a way that we can give back to the community. And we've seen incredible things happen through studios across the country, working with people of all ages and abilities.
And people walk into your studio probably with this fear that, oh my gosh, though I'm not an artist, like how am I going to do this? And fear that they're not going to be good enough, right? Isn't that the most common probably obstacle when people walk in?
It is. And our teams are trained to greet people with a warm aloha, welcome, welcome. We're here to help you every step of the way. Don't worry, we're not going to use paint brushes. We're going to finger paint, we're going to tilt a canvas. And we have a way of explaining what we do that disarms people, and it makes them feel more comfortable. And I really think that in the hobby space and the art space, having a level of comfort is incredibly important.
Has me thinking about, what business are you really in? I've been a big fan of Tony Robbins for many years, and you go to his business mastery program. And one of the things Tony teaches that we're not necessarily in the business that we think we're in. And one of those exercises that we go through at Business Mastery is, what business are you in? What business are you really in? And so I would probably venture to say you're not really in the art business. Are you in the therapeutic business? Or what business do you think you're really in?
Well, I think that it's a unique combination between art and therapy, obviously non-licensed therapy, but it's a place where people can come to heal. And that is powerful. It's almost like the endorphins people get when they go to the gym and they work out, that feel good feeling. They get the same thing when creating something beautiful and realizing that they made that with their own hands. And so we're really in the business of giving back to our communities at Hawaii Fluid Art. Beautiful.
What do you think makes your business unique to others that are in the industry? There's other brands out there that are in the painting or in the art experience.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that differentiate us. The only thing we have in common with other art brands is that we both use paint. When you dive into our business and you actually look at the support model that we offer, the support that we offer our franchisees and their employees is profound. We have a very large group of support system that are in-house at Hawaii Fluid Art in order to help the franchisees and the franchisees' employees. We have incredible training systems. We have portals that have over 100 videos. If they have questions, they can do a search. We even have a group medical plan for our franchisees and their employees. The support that we offer goes beyond just training. We offer store setup. We have ongoing coaching with our franchisees, with our franchise success managers. We oversee the real estate aspect, the build out, the construction, which by the way is very easy and very affordable compared to most retail brands. We have ongoing experiences with our franchisees and their teams. So for instance, this morning we did an hour-long call on tips, tricks, and marketing where the store employees are able to join. They're really the face of the business and they need to be educated just like the franchisee. We have a lot of absentee owner franchisees. And so we offer so much for the business owner, so much guidance, so much support. And that's the business aspect. But when you talk about just the art aspect, we have 27 different forms of art that we offer. Nobody else on the market does that. We have our own custom brand paint. We have our own custom resin that's non-toxic, no VOC. We are the supplier for our franchisees, so they get extraordinarily good prices. And all of our classes run at a 90 to 95% profit margin. So we've just really set up the Z's to succeed at a high level with offering the support that's needed to do so.
Maya, let's talk about some of the painting experiences. So again, as I said earlier, I was on your website. Of course, the fluid art, I guess, is the signature experience, right? But there's one, though, on your website that jumped out at me, and that's the resin beach scene.
Yes, resin beach scene is incredible. So we allow our students to either bring in their own sand from the favorite beach that they visited in Florida, or we provide sand, different kinds of gravel, etc. And what we do is we create this incredible beach scene using our own branded resin. They're stunning, they're easy to make, and it's something that people are proud to hang on their wall. We make those as small as a 12 by 12 all the way up to a 2 foot by 4 foot. Wow. We actually ship them all over the world for people, and we have one hanging in Sony studios right now.
Wow, they're absolutely gorgeous, but there's other things too, like the resin tumblers and the glass painting. I haven't seen that with any other painting experience. So I assume if somebody was, wanted to go do one of the experiences, are the classes labeled as such? Like we're going to do a resin tumbler here, or we're going to do the resin beach scene for this particular class?
So we're actually so unique that when somebody books online, one person can book fluid art, another person can book a resin tumbler, somebody else can book patch party, and we will accommodate them for what art experience they want to do any time of the day. So our classes run every hour on the hour, but we also accept walk-ins. And so we feel that it's important that for that return business, because our average student has been there 4 times in 6 months, we want them to be able to create what they want to create. And if they come in and see a beautiful charcuterie board, but they booked online for fluid art, we're like, no problem, we can do that. It's all about giving positive feedback to the students.
All right, awesome. Let's get into the franchise journey a little bit. So you shared your numbers with me, franchise locations, before we got started. So I just want to go over this for the audience. This is super impressive. I understand you founded the company in 2021. You started franchising way back in 2022, just 2 years ago. 36 franchises open, over 100 in development, and you're in 23 states. Absolutely incredible, Maya. Tell me about what was that defining moment for you. So when you first opened this location, I'd love to know about your franchise journey on what made you decide to even franchise this.
Well, I didn't know anything about franchising, 3.5 years ago. I was running a successful business out of my garage. And then my husband came to me one day and said, I am tired of people parking in our driveway. You need a retail location. So I opened a retail location, but at the same time, I created something called a mobile unit. And that mobile unit is a person in a van, logoed out. And I started creating relationships with local hotels, high-end subdivisions, schools, etc. So when I wasn't in studio teaching, I was on the road bringing art to different people. And I had the opportunity to work with many of the rich and famous because they visit Hawaii. And so some of these people had heard about me and had taken classes in my garage. And it's almost embarrassing to think about the famous people that have been in my humble garage on the Big Island of Hawaii. But I was at a private event in one of their homes. They had me come in, there was a bunch of people, and I was teaching fluid art. And after the experience, this group of well-known actors and actresses came up to me and said, Maya, we've traveled the world. We've never seen anything like what you do. And we think everyone deserves to experience Hawaii fluid art. And we think you should franchise this. I said, you mean like Taco Bell? And they said, yes and no. Almost all businesses that you have heard of are actually a franchise. And we stood there and talked for, it was a couple hours. The sun started going down and I was just standing there, my painting supplies everywhere. And one of these people had his high-powered attorney there. And the attorney said, give me a call. I'll tell you all about it. And so I started thinking about it. And within 3 days, I had a goal list, which was in some people's eyes ridiculous. I wanted a store in Las Vegas on the Strip. I wanted my own paint brand. I wanted my own resin brand. I wanted to have 350 locations open within 4 years. I had this whole plan, and I started working on a business plan before I even spoke to an attorney about the actual FDD. And so that's really how it came about. And from 21 till the middle of 22, I worked on infrastructure, lining out what my vision was for the brand. And then we started offering studios to the public.
That is amazing. And I shared earlier too, you've bootstrapped this thing with the amount of franchises that you have open in such a short time. It's really impressive that you don't have any outside investors. You've bootstrapped this. You are a founder's founder.
Well, thank you. I will tell you it wasn't easy. My husband and I made the hard decision to sell our home in Hawaii, which if you know anything about Hawaii, purchasing a home in Hawaii in the first place is very difficult to do. We decided to relocate to Dallas. My husband gave up he was an executive director with a big hotel chain. And we relocated to Dallas and decided to live a different type of lifestyle, very, let's call it low budget lifestyle in order to build the brand. So I have been working for free for 3 years. I'm happy to do so. I am honored to lead this company and invest every penny that I've had personally and my time, effort, and energy into building the brand for the franchisees. But yes, I have bootstrapped the business.
That's awesome. Tell me, how did you find your first dozen franchisees? That's one of the hardest things for new founders is how do they find their first franchise, especially since you had not had a lot of company-owned locations. I understand you have 6 now, but yeah. How did you find your first dozen?
Great American Franchise Expo. I traveled around. I went to franchise expos. I set up at business expos. I painted in person. I showed them what Hawaii fluid art is because it's hard to just explain it. It's such a visual business. And I would sit there and I would paint it and I'd have somebody come mess it up. And pretty soon I'd have a crowd around me. That is really how we launched. And then, of course, we joined broker networks and started educating brokers about our brand and what it had to offer. And here we are today.
Wow. Who's in franchise development? Are you in franchise development or do you use an outside organization?
No, we do not use an FSO. We have in-house. It is myself and Trinity Kirk. As a matter of fact, she is my director of franchise expansion. She is also my best friend. And we went to the same high school. So we've known each other for many years. And I talk to every candidate first. I believe as a founder that I'm an involved, engaged founder. The first phone call is with myself and Trinity. After that, we have group calls. And then, of course, she does a lot of one-on-one unit economics and marketing, et cetera, calls with our franchisees.
Sure. So if you can elaborate a little bit on who is your target franchise owner?
A good human, somebody who does what they say and say what they will do, somebody that understands that working on the business is the most important aspect of business ownership, not working in the business. You don't need to be in the business on a daily basis, but creating community relationships and being an upstanding citizen, working with the Chamber of Commerce and the Wounded Warriors, etc. Somebody that has 5 to 10 hours a week to dedicate to the business. You know, we have a lot of semi-absentee and absentee owners. We have people that live in other countries that own our brand. It's very important to us that we have a good relationship with our franchisees. And part of that relationship is started in the very beginning when they're a candidate, and we have very transparent conversations with them. So we look for people that are good leaders, that are willing to take the extra step to make sure that their team is really taken care of. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of it is a feeling that we get. And then of course we have vetting processes and questionnaires, et cetera. But we're very fortunate. We have a very diverse group of franchisees and only one of them had any art experience and he was a high school art teacher. Other than that, none of our franchisees have ever had any art experience.
Well, that kind of leads me to where I was going with this is that I think as a fellow founder, it's a blessing and curse when you are in a business that people have passion for. And does it scare you when somebody says, "Oh, I love this. I love art. I can't wait to own one of these"?
It does a little bit because sometimes they think they know better than I do. And there has to be a line with your franchisees that there is a friendly relationship. And sometimes those friendly relationships turn into true friendships, but there has to be a respect level that if you have an idea and I think it's a great idea, then we're going to launch that to the brand.
Sure.
But if you have an idea that is not best for the brand and we have to tell you, I'm sorry, that's not going to work, you still have to be able to have that open communication with that franchisee. So we work very hard on our franchisee relationships. We support them completely. And everybody has my cell phone number. All they have to do is call me or send me a text if there's an issue. And what I always tell the franchisees is this: I am a problem solver. I can solve problems, but I can't solve drama. So let's just keep it straight up and we can handle it.
That's awesome. What are some of the most important, or what do you think are some of the best traits of your best franchise owners?
The best traits in the franchise owners are really that they care about their team in store, that they care about their community, that they understand what a budget and projections are. You know, we have all the tools that they need. We have performers that show you if you have 300 students a month, this is what your revenue is going to be based on, averages, et cetera, et cetera. It is important to set goals and keep yourself accountable. And so people that treat it like a hobby are not going to be the best franchisees.
Yeah.
People that treat it like a business are going to be the best franchisees.
Which kind of goes back to having the passion for the business. It's not really about art, or in my case, had nothing to do with sports, because everything I'm hearing that you're sharing is about leadership. It's about management. It's about marketing. It's operations. It's finance. Those are the things that aren't really driving the business. Art is just a vehicle that you're using.
Correct. It's a feel-good business. And the other thing about it is that it's in demand. People come back over and over and over again. Unlike installing a garage door or mini blinds, where you only see them once every 10 years. This is an environment of keeping customers happy, keeping students happy. You know, we have more 5-star reviews in the last, we had over 1,000 5-star reviews in the last month. And that's really what it's about, is creating the relationship at store level with the student. So we are the only place that they come when they think art experience. And that's really important.
And we're only as good as our franchisees. I mean, that's what this comes down to.
We're only as good as our franchisees, but our franchisees are only as good as their founder and they're a team that's working in store. So we believe in paying a livable wage, giving them benefits, seeing them make excellent tips, because in reality, who's the face of Hawaii Fluid Art? Is it me? No, it's the employee in the store in the 23 states that we're in that are interacting with the customers. Because bottom line, this is about the customer, and therefore I'm the biggest, I cheerlead the loudest for the store employees.
Yeah. Are there any specific, any employees at any specific store that'd be willing to share that maybe they exceeded expectations and they helped achieve some level of success that maybe was unexpected?
Yeah, and I'll try not to get emotional about it. As a matter of fact, in the Kansas City store, almost 3 years ago, when I opened it in October, it'll be 3 years, I had an interview with a young man who was a server, had no art experience, nothing. And he was just a ray of sunshine, one of those people that just makes you feel good. We ended up talking for like 45 minutes when I was interviewing him. He started as a part-time instructor. He is now our National Director of Brand Development. He showed such an interest in the brand and in the store and in giving back to the students that we saw this light in him, and we've helped teach him, and he's helped teach us. And he has grown through the company, now works for leadership. And that's just one example of the type of employees that can truly impact Hawaii Fluid Art as a brand.
You know, Maya, it's stories like that it's just, it's so inspirational, because I think back on where we all started as founders. When you started out of your garage and you did that first experience, you didn't realize the rippling effect it was going to have on so many people. And that to me is the true magic of franchising, that this person has such an impact on you. And you were just doing some art in your garage, and we don't realize or recognize the impact that we could have on people and they have on us when we franchise our company and taking that risk.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, as I have a tear dripping down my face, I still don't realize the impact. I think that as a founder and as a leader, it is my responsibility to support my franchisees and their employees and my leadership team. And the impact is surprising to me at times. And I think at times I just don't realize it. And I'm honored and humbled to be leading this company.
And you're just getting started.
Yes. Yes, we are. We're just getting started.
Is this a legacy business for you? Do you see yourself doing this for life, or do you see yourself taking this to a certain number and saying, maybe it's time for me to move on? What's your plan?
I will lead this company for as long as I'm qualified. If we end up going into the Asian markets and the Middle East, like we're talking about now, I'm going to need some incredible advisors. I will be a part of this company until I am no longer useful to the company. I will definitely consider stepping down if and when we get to the point that it's going to take people that know far more than I do. Now, I'm very fortunate that I have incredible strategic advisors. I have 2 CEO coaches that help guide me and help me with my communication skills. So I hope to be around for a long time, but I'll never get in the way of the growth of Hawaii Fluid Art.
Maya, you are truly somebody that really loves their company. It's not having, as I call it, and we hear people talk about founderitis, where the founder is the one that gets in the way. And when you truly love your business, you give it what it needs. And we all know that sometimes it means it needs something more than us or different than us. And
100%.
Yeah, those are the brands that really, where the magic really happens, because the chokehold of any business is always the leader. But if you're willing to get out of your own way and put the right people in place, that's where the brands really grow to something spectacular.
Well, I think that's where we're headed. And having the team that I have to help lead this business and to be able to trust them to make good decisions for the franchisees, it's just a blessing. And I feel very fortunate to be a part of this company.
Sweet. How many people are on your team?
14 full-time employees, another 20 that are fractional or on contract basis.
And maybe expand a little bit on the training and support. What does training look like?
I love this question. So training is threefold. We have something called HFA University. We have over 100 professionally done videos that are step-by-step, from how to greet a customer to how to pick out a canvas size, every aspect. We also then have one sheets, which are bullet point information sheets for refresher. But I think the crowning jewel in our training system is that our team, we have 4 people on the team. Our team will come to you in your studio and train your employees in the Hawaii Fluid Art methods. So we spend 8 days in person in your studio, just tweaking it, making sure it's set up the way it needs to be, but also diving into the culture. Why the Aloha Spirit? How to use the point of sale, how to use the online booking system, how to use our 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week call center, helping them create those relationships, but then also all the art forms. So we are there for 8 days in person. And then after that, we have an 18-week program for refreshers and fine-tuning all aspects of your knowledge base. And so we have a very profound training program.
It sure sounds like it. Is there maybe a common or unique challenge that your franchisees face that has to be addressed during the training or ongoing support that might be different or something unexpected?
Absolutely. So sometimes what happens is that franchisees are busy executives, and they get nervous. And so we have a hiring portal where all the job descriptions are written, et cetera. All you have to do is push a button. It goes out to all the job boards. We usually get about 100 applicants per open position. One of the mistakes that franchisees make is they hire the first person that applies because they're afraid they're not going to find a good person, or they feel that it's too much effort to really get to know people before hiring them. I think that's the number one mistake people make, is not particular enough on their choice of employee in a store. It's just like when you're a founder and you're freaking out to sell your first location and you might not be picky enough.
Right.
The same goes for at a store level. And so that is something that we are coaching our franchisees on, helping create check sheets and questions and answers to ask those employees, so we don't run into, you had 100 applicants, why this person?
Yeah, for sure. And I did catch early on, you mentioned having absentee owners. Of your 36 that are open, what would you say is kind of the breakdown of owners that are absentee versus running a store?
I would say about 60% are absentee. They're working on the business, not in the business, or they've hired somebody that's going to handle the business development growth for them. You only need 2 employees to run a Hawaii Fluid Art. So if you hire 2.5 and your part-time person, their sole job is to be in the community driving business to the store, you really only spend 5 hours a month working on the business as a franchisee. But that's because of the support we offer. That's not normal. That is not a normal franchise ability. But because of the support that we offer at the leadership level, our franchisees can own 2 or 3 stores and spend 5 to 10 hours a month on that store.
Okay. That actually gets me to the multi-unit franchise, I guess, opportunity. So with 100 plus open, what about the comparison of how many are multi-unit owners versus single unit operators?
About 50% of our franchisees start out as single unit. And within 6 months, about 50% of those add an additional unit to their development agreement. So we see existing franchisees that are very excited about the brand. Once they get into it and understand the support that we offer and the guidance that we offer, they say, hey, I want another one, or I want 3 more. We have a franchisee in California that started off with 2 locations and now has 6.
Wow, that's a great testament to the brand. Again, so early on. What's the investment range for one location?
$183,000 to $323,000. The reason there's such a big spread there is I opened the Las Vegas location last year. Might have gone a little over budget on that one.
Okay. So I assume, though, it is there is a territory, right? Or there's some sort of geographic boundaries. How big is the territory?
Depends on the population based and drive times. They range between 3 miles and 5 miles. But we are not a standard franchise in the fact that we do not want locations every 5 miles. We really want our franchisees to have a population base of between 125 and 150,000 people per location. So what we do is we really draw a bubble around that space and say, this is your territory. And we're not going to put them too close together because we don't believe in having franchisees compete with other franchisees. We want them all to be on the same team.
Sure. Is there a certain selection process that you guys use or do you use software to develop which new markets you're going to get into? What makes you decide what market's good or not?
Well, we do a lot of research. We have software development, and I spend a lot of time on the road. I believe boots on the ground is one of the best ways to determine if a Hawaii flute art is going to be a good fit in a certain location. So I travel around the United States. We have strategic meetings around the United States. We do a lot of investigation. We also work with Morrow Hill, who is our real estate partner, and they help us with a lot of research. I also am fortunate enough that when I used to work in banking, I lived all over the United States opening branches. So I know a little bit more about certain areas than I guess the average Joe might know. Nice. So it's a lot of fun doing the research and the deep dive on where to put the next Hawaii flute art. What's the
typical size of the footprint?
Anywhere between 14 and 1,800 square feet. That being said, we do have some as large as 2,800 square feet because real estate was so inexpensive in their area. And we've introduced the splatter room. And so some studios offer that. And then we have them as the tiny baby store in Hawaii. She's just under 900 square feet, but really 14 to 1,800 square feet right in there.
So I'm thinking this through here. You're doing experiences once an hour, right? And so how many people are typically in an experience per hour?
So I love this question. So, we're the one-to-many concept. Imagine if a hairdresser could cut 15 people's hair at a time.
Right.
We can accommodate 15 students at a time with an average spend. That puts us at $1,800 an hour in potential revenue being generated. Now, not all classes or experiences are full, but when you have 2 or 3 people in an experience with an average spend of $120 to $125 in that 45-minute time frame, the revenue per hour that we generate is exceptional, especially when you think about the fact that we run at a 90 to 95% profit margin based on the art experience itself.
Well, that explains why we have 36 open and 100 plus in development in a year and a half.
Yeah.
That is incredible. What's been your biggest surprise, Maya, since you've been franchising this whole entire 2 years?
My biggest surprise is probably how much everything costs, to be frank.
Right, I bet.
I think that when you bootstrap something, you've put your whole heart and soul in it. You put every 401k you had, your house, you name it, you put it in the business. And I think that surprises as a founder can be kind of scary. But I also believe that you have to roll with it and have complete faith in yourself, your brand, the universe. And I'm very fortunate in the fact that when we hit a speed bump, it's just like, bloop. there's not a big, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? I'm very balanced and stable in the fact that, oh, this is a problem. Let's build an SOP. We've got a way to solve it. And so I think that's one of them. And the other thing that I think really surprises me, or that is difficult about franchising, is the amount of people that don't know about franchising and how amazing it can be. You know, there's a lot of people out there that don't want to work a job anymore.
Right.
They've worked at the same company for 22 years and they hate it every single day. And they don't realize that there's an opportunity out there, whether it's my brand or another brand. There is a different way of life. There is a way to impact your community. There's a way to have a smile on your face every day. And I think that more people just need to know about franchising, and, you know, through podcasts like this and public speaking opportunities and being on radio shows, it just really helps other people understand that there is a different way of life.
Yeah. With that said, there's so many founders that watch or listen to our show, and they're just getting started in franchising. And you've had this truly tremendous amount of success in a short period of time. I'd say you're probably one of the fastest growing franchisors that I have interviewed in this past year. Maya, has there been a specific challenge or maybe mistake that was made that maybe you could share with the fellow founders on what you did to overcome it, and you've been able to experience such phenomenal growth? What's been the secret to that?
Well, I think what's really important as an emerging founder is to ask questions. You don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. There are things that I did not know. And I had to find out that the reason they call them valuable lessons is because they usually cost you a lot of money. So one of the things that I let founders out there know is call me. Send me a message to LinkedIn. I will tell you what payroll company I use. I will tell you what hiring system I use. I will tell you what I'm paying, you know, per credit card transaction, so you don't have to make the same financial mistakes that I did. And I think that if people were more open instead of gatekeeping what's helping them be successful, franchising in general would be a better business for everyone. And so I just think that asking for help is 100% okay. And then I think the other mistake that any new franchisor makes is that they're overly eager to sell their first location without the support system and process. You cannot support a brand unless you have an infrastructure. Don't rush to market. Build your infrastructure so you're prepared to be successful. And that's the other little bit of advice that I would give.
Well, and you kind of touched on this very early on, and I kind of overlooked it, but it's really, I think there's great value in this to talk about. You put those standard operating procedures involved early. You had the infrastructure to be able to support this growth. It's one thing to be able to sell, 36 or 136 franchises, but it's another thing to be able to support them. There are many franchisors that wouldn't be able to support 100, 200 franchises in the first 2 years. What were maybe some of the most important things that you put in place early on that allowed you to be able to open so many locations, every month?
A staff. I invested in a staff before, number one, I could really afford them, and number two, before I needed them. You can't play catch up in franchising. Right. You can't have 10 open units and no support staff. So I found people, leaders that wanted to help other people. And we taught them all about Hawaii Fluid Art. I think one of the really cool things about our brand is that 3 of our franchisees are on our leadership team. They're absentee owners for their franchise. And they love the brand so much that they wanted to come work for leadership. They have very diverse backgrounds. And we saw that as an opportunity because they could give us advice from the franchisee's point of view mm-hmm. and from a leadership point of view. And so I really think that building out a team, especially a franchise success manager, somebody who's going to coach the franchisee on a weekly basis or every other week, is absolutely vital before you have a bunch of open units.
Yeah, for sure. And that's where so many people go wrong, is they focus everything on franchise development, selling franchises, and not be able to support the people, and they flame out.
Yep.
Okay. Maya, what are maybe some of the trends you're seeing in your industry? I call it the experience, the franchise experience. What would you say is maybe something you're seeing as a trend?
So what I'm seeing is that people want experiences. They're tired of just going out to eat and going home. People want to have something to bring home from the experience. You know, if you go to a movie, you got a tummy ache from the popcorn. If you come to Hawaii Fluid Art, you have a beautiful piece of art that you've created. Not only are people wanting that, the average customer, so are shopping centers and real estate investment trusts. They want experiential businesses in their centers. So what I'm seeing is a shift in people wanting to, from sitting at home or going to their friend's house, they want as a group or a couple to go and do something that is impactful, that makes a difference and makes them feel good. Mm-hmm. And we just see our numbers increasing because the word spreads like wildfire. When you've had a great experience, you want to tell people about it. And so that's really what I see happening in the artscape, and not just with our brand, but there are other brands out there that are incredible. Some of them not growing as fast as we are, but you know, there's pottery brands and other brands that also offer an experience. None of them offer as many art experiences or types as we do, but they're still great brands.
Yeah, I think there's something more to your brand than just the amount of different experiences that you offer.
Yes, it's called the Aloha Spirit. It's about truly caring about other people. And it's hard sometimes when you look at humanity as a whole to have empathy or love for humanity, right? The person who cuts you off in the car in front of you or doesn't put their shopping cart away. But an individual connection with people in a studio that is built out for beauty and a relaxing environment, you can really make a connection on a deep level with somebody in 45 minutes when you're helping them create something beautiful. And I think that's one of the things that Hawaii Fluid Art offers, is a genuine spirit of aloha.
So Maya, when you or Trinity are speaking to a potential franchise owner, what's maybe some of the things or some of the due diligence advice that you give them when they're looking into the franchise?
Well, we talk about a business that you have an interest in. We talk about a business that's close to your home, if that's what you're looking for. We talk about making sure that whether it's our brand or another brand, that it offers enough support for what you need in your life. We talk about marketing. If you know nothing about marketing, you need to be careful with the brand that you choose, because some brands offer full service marketing. Some don't offer any marketing. Mm-hmm. So we really talk about the level of commitment from a founder and a leadership team and the support that's offered, and that all brands are very different. And I have other founders that are my good friends and I love their brands. It's not about selling our brand. We consider ourselves information givers. And if we give you information that doesn't align with what you're looking for, we wish you the best. We hope that you find a brand that works well for you, and we roll it back over to the consultant. You know, we're not going to be a good fit for everybody. Somebody told me that my brand was too touchy-feely. That didn't hurt my feelings. I was proud of that. I'm like, yes, it is. It is touchy-feely. So I think that just knowing what's a good fit, right. But we have a really amazing discovery day where people have something called an aha moment, where in the beginning they're attracted to the financials, they're attracted to how inexpensive it is to open, etc. And they come to our discovery day and they go, aha, and they fall in love with what we offer. And that is a powerful thing that we see happen over and over and over at our discovery days. And so, that's our little secret weapon, our discovery day.
I bet. Maya, okay, if someone was interested in learning more about Hawaii Fluid Art, where would they go?
Well, they can send me a text message at 808-344-4878, or you can go right to our website, which is hawaiifluidart.com, and there is more franchise information link in the upper right-hand corner.
Sweet. All right. Well, look, I appreciate this. Has been incredible. Again, I love your concept. I think you're really onto something, and certainly the numbers are supporting that. I always finish every podcast with the franchise tip jar, because the franchise community is so generous with sharing information. So maybe there would be a piece of advice that you would give an entrepreneur before they franchise their concept. What's maybe a tip, trick, or strategy you'd give them?
Dream big. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it. Write your goals down to help them become reality, and go all in. There's no halfway in franchising.
I second that. Maya, that is fantastic advice. I agree with you 100%. Cool.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks so much for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fumey, or Emerging Franchise Group LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.